If I know this.
Yes, Mr. Sadat, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you about. I've heard your wife has spoken of this mark in your head as where evidence of your prayer life.
Because of the prayers.
Yes. Now, we Christians think of Muslims as repeating prayers, but I get the impression that you pray spontaneously to God, don't you, too?
5 times a day.
I see. When you pray that way, do you pray stated prayers, or do you sometimes just tell God whatever on your heart?
Well, there is a certain movement that one makes in prayer, as you know.
You don't pray, for example, as you walk down the street or anything. You feel that you must be in a position of reverence.
Well, you can have this, but those 5 prayers are compulsory.
And yes. But you make quite a bit of praying during the night, though, too, don't you?
Yes, you can do it whenever you can, whenever you would like to do it, or you have the time to do it.
Do you pray in your own words, or can you pray in your own words, or must you use stated prayers?
These are, as I told you, we recite Quran. Everything we say in the prayer is from Quran.
I don't know if you're aware of how much ignorance there is about the Muslim religion among us Christians. But I grew up as a schoolboy thinking of Allah as a very vindictive, cruel Muslim deity who just rewarded with instant paradise the Muslim who died putting us infidels to the sword. So I almost felt as if there was a bounty on my head.
Right. You see, this has started with the Crusades. It has a background.
Oh, yes.
Every part of us condemns the other as infidels. The Christians accuse the Muslims as infidels, and the Muslims accuse the Christians as infidels. No. Quran is here. I had a very interesting discussion with Chancellor Schmidt, the Prime Minister of West Germany. He is a very cultured and learned man. Mm-hmm. And he also asked, and when I told him what is in Quran, really he was very astounded. The only difference between Christianity and Islam is this. In Quran we say this: God has taken Christ to heaven.
I say.
He was not killed. A man in his imitation was killed. In Islam, we don't want, we were told here that Christ has been elevated to God and he has not been killed or crucified, but an imitation of him. This means that we have great estimation to Christ to the extent that God didn't permit his crucifying, but took him to heavens.
I guess this is the crux of our difference then, isn't it? Because for us, his death was atoning for our sins, you see, so that's why the cross is the symbol of our faith. So we disagree on that area. Do you believe that Christ is coming back?
It is stated in our Quran, before the day everyone will recognize Christ.
Is that right?
Yeah, in Quran.
I wish you would just tell me what you think of God, how you see God, not as the cruel, vindictive deity that we thought of him as. In fact, I didn't know quite until recently that Allah is the name for God, and that even the Christians in your country worship the same. I mean, they have the same name, Allah.
Yeah. I was brought up in a village, as you know.
Yes.
A villager. And I learned Quran before I went to the school. You were asking how we envisage God. In spite of my knowing Quran and learning Quran, the man who have opened really the doors of faith for me in the cell 54 is an American author called Lloyd Douglas.
Oh, yes. He's a Christian minister.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Yes. He started to learn medicine, and then after that he left, and he became a priest.
And wrote the robe, too.
The robe, but read magnificent obsession for him.
Oh, yes.
Anyone who doesn't have faith will have it at all, at once. And this man has taught me faith.
Isn't that marvelous? Well, just tell us a little bit about your experience in Cell 54, would you?
Well, it is a very hard experience because suddenly you found yourself between four walls, no book to read, no radio to hear the news, no newspaper to do, except just in a cell like this, and for 1 year and a half before they permitted us to have newspapers and books. When we were permitted these books, fortunately, the first book I read was Magnificent Obsession of Lloyd Douglas.
Oh, is
and that
right?
Continued after that in the same line. In the Cell 54, I found myself. I found myself, and I found that through love, I can do miracles. Through hatred, I am impotent.
In fact, I think the expression you used was, my heart was taken over by the love of the Lord of the universe.
Right? Right? And let me tell you this. The most happiest 6 months that I lived or ever to live were the last 6 months in the cell.
Well, now, when you said your heart was taken over by the love of the Lord of the universe, was this something that just sort of oozed in on you, or did it happen in a particular time?
No, it is part of my nature, but I couldn't recognize it before I was put in the cell. Let me tell you this. In two places you will find yourself, either in prison or in war. You will find your true self. I found my true self because out of prison, like any other one, and because of this civilization, material civilization, and the man's needs, and so one is always preoccupied. He didn't have the time to meditate or to live inside himself. In the cell, you are either you learn to live inside yourself, or you will become mad, because in four walls with nothing to do. So I found myself.
You know, I had an experience of being overwhelmed by the love of God. In fact, I could define it almost in exactly your terms of my heart was taken over by the love of the Lord of the universe. But when I tried to share it with people in my own rather formal church, they looked at me askance. And I was wondering, did you find people responsive that would to the experience you had, or did they think you were talking a foreign language?
As I told you, when I had this discussion with Helmut Schmidt, the Chancellor of West Germany, and because of the new facts that I told him in Quran, he told me, why don't you write a book? I promised to write a book on the three religions, and you will find that it is one religion according to Quran. I promised, and he asked me to write the foreword of this book. I gave him my word, and I shall be writing this book. Chancellor Helmut Schmidt of Germany will be writing the foreword of this book.
Well, what happened as a result? You discovered there in the cell, I think you said that God wasn't just someone way up there, but he became your personal friend.
That's right.
And this was such a liberating experience. I think you said you were set free in that moment,
right,
from fear of man,
right,
and from hatred. You can hate,
and from the material needs.
I see. So it really was a liberating experience in prison, then, wasn't it?
It is. And as I told you, in two places only you can find yourself, either in prison or in war.